Alright, we got you, Billy. Do all killers think the same?
Immediately regret it in a sense where I called my mom and I apologized to her and I said, I'm so sorry, I think I killed your husband.
What?
I would kill them again.
I will kill them again.
3, 2,
I'm going on yes
1,
side.
go.
Hey, if I'm in their army, I will go again and kill them, bro. Hey, that's what I
Tom
gotta
Sawyer
do.
was
That's
a
what I will
beautiful
do.
person, and he was my
That's me
friend.
personally.
And what happened was an accident.
Oh,
And
okay, that's
I was,
different.
um,
Wait, so not all of them are like,
heartbreaking
so
thing
not
happened.
all of them are like in the army and
My
shit.
name's
Some of them
Forrest,
just.
and I accidentally shot and killed my best friend when I was 23 years old.
Okay, see,
I
they're not
felt
all.
like a shattered person
Damn.
most of my
Okay, it
life.
makes sense. It makes
and there are
sense.
still shards missing, but I just spent the last 5 years writing a very painful memoir. It gave me an opportunity to visit a lot of past trauma. I feel in a strong space to be a support for other survivors and create positivity in the world.
Damn.
Slim Clear 2.0 présente. Comment ça a commencé?
Killing your friend, best
Comment
friend
ça
by
se passe?
accident.
Slim Clear 2.0 ananas.
Damn.
90 calories, 2 grammes de glucides.
Some people have
Et
some
si vous
crazy
passiez à la
stories,
2.0?
bro. Holy fuck.
All my killing has been in the time of war, so I agree with what I've done. Would I do it again? I would, because if I didn't kill that individual, they would have killed me or somebody else. I was a sniper, so I'm looking after a platoon of 20, 30 guys, sometimes as small as 6 guys. But I don't strongly agree with it because of the after effects, like what it did to me mentally. You know, I was the first person I killed, I was 18, and I didn't stop until I was almost 25. So I don't regret any of it.
I agree,
don't
I
have
agree
any
with him.
bad feelings towards those individuals that I did kill. They were just protecting their homeland just as much as I would too. So I would do it again to save my life or somebody else's life.
I work in healthcare. What I do is I manage life support. So I'm the guy that pulls the plug on just about everybody. So I come from a very different perspective. I have to do that for babies all the way to like people who've been
Man,
doing
bro,
this.
bro.
I've been doing this for like over a
Yo,
dozen
depressive
years.
videos over there, bro.
I've come to terms with what the job is.
Damn.
The crime and how it happened, it was not, I didn't go out to kill this person. And now understanding the impact that the crime had, not only on me, but the family of that person. That was a human being that I killed over some drugs, right? And his children, his family. Is
Okay, you're a
being
criminal.
really
That's
still
different.
in the absence
I
of
see
this
that.
person.
You're a
It was
criminal.
December the 24th, Christmas Eve night.
You killed someone
Me and
because
a
of
couple my
drugs?
friends were
My
hanging
boy.
out. This particular car came up, and the passenger in the car said, "Hey, I want to buy some drugs from you." So I told one of my friends, I'm
Maybe
like,
let's
"He's
hear
known
the
to
story
be
first.
This person that will come through the community and ask for $100 worth of drugs, but he would never have the money." And the guy did exactly what I said. He knocked the drugs out of my friend's hand, grabbed his arm, and started speeding off. And my reaction at that time was I pulled out the gun and I started shooting into the car to get him to release my friend. And days later, we heard that the bullet that I shot into the car actually killed him. To that day, I will never forget December the 24th, when that happened, the day before Christmas.
I would 100% do
Accidentally killed
what
him. I don't
had
know
to
about
do
that.
over
I think you
again
just wanted to.
because the guy was a serial perpetrator. He was after so many women. If he killed me, he would have went after my mom, all my family, my nieces, my nephews, every one of us, until he literally got
fuck?
what he wanted. I'm Tara Newell. I killed my attacker, Dirty John Meehan, in self-defense. I think it was really interesting how there was one person here who had experienced prison reform, because to me, my attacker would have been in there if I hadn't killed him in self-defense. And it's really interesting to hear about how there are people in there who are able to rehabilitate.
I immediately regretted it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, I mean, for your story, it makes sense.
Why do I strongly
Strong, yeah.
disagree?
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a young kid. I was 18. The first guy I killed was with a 50 cal machine gun. I was expecting it to be like the movies where you have this feeling of when you kill someone, and it wasn't there. I didn't feel
Damn.
anything. It wasn't until that night I had this weird dream. The guy who I shot became a ceiling fan in my room. His arms and legs were the blades. His head was the center of the fan. And I
Damn,
watched him
that's some
spin
crazy
faster
ass
and
story,
faster
bro.
Until he tore apart and covered me, and what he used to be, what was left of him. But no, I didn't feel anything. There was nothing like to feel. I knew that was the beginning of something that I was probably going to have to do for a while. No attachment at the time.
I can agree with you on that. I mean, identify with that, because my first couple of years inside of prison, I detached from it completely. When people would mention his name, I would don't see him as a human being. And that was very insensitive when I look back at it now, right? But I look and say that was a way of me coping with the situation at that time.
I did immediately regret it in a sense, where I called my mom and I apologized to her and I said, I'm so sorry, I think I killed your husband. So there was that, but then there was also the sense of oh my gosh, I don't have to keep looking over my shoulders anymore. I don't have to live in this fear that he's gonna actually come after me, because it already happened.
Sometimes family members don't agree with the decision, and that decision is sometimes taken away from them. Being called every name in the book as I'm walking in there, but if they just don't agree, and then I'm like, I just have to go do this.
Oh,
But it doesn't feel good, or I'm not necessarily agreeing with it. So I'm like, I disagree. Yeah.
The level of heartbreak that I felt immediately after that gunshot was indescribable. And I don't know if any of you have saw Red before, but I actually saw Red. And it was the most horrific thing I've ever seen, experienced, witnessed, felt in my life. I got charged with first-degree murder.
yeah, that shit really broke him, bro. It's crazy.
35 to life here in California. I couldn't even process that. There was just so much a combination of horror.
I mean, it would
and
broke
grief
anyone, to be honest.
immediately.
Découvrez Topo Chico Hard Seltzer. Des saveurs uniques, un goût frais, élaboré avec passion.
I am desensitized to death. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh,
Somewhat agree. Why is that?
Yeah. Why is?
I do a lot of volunteer work, and the amount of
Why is that?
Yeah. Why is?
I do a lot of volunteer work, and the amount of people who are dying from drug overdoses and suicides right now in the arena of trauma, it's becoming difficult for me to feel anything anymore with the amount of people that we're losing that we don't have to.
For me, it was almost like playing God, you know? I determined the time, place, when I'm gonna take that person off this planet. And it
yo,
put things into perspective.
that's
for me,
a
too,
that's
that
a
I can
really
go
interesting
and
choice of
certain
words
like
right
when you
there,
have the
bro.
bullet, you know, it's
Nah, it's the first time I heard that
hardest to
shit.
be pulled, so I've learned the value.
Really
of
interesting
it,
words
and
of
it was
choice of
Very
words.
fragile, very frail.
But yeah, you
And
got
to
a
not
point
feel
though.
anything towards killing someone would probably be more devastating to me than actually taking a life. It's not feeling.
Hold on, I need to clarify something.
Yeah.
I just want to be very clear that being desensitized in no way means that I don't value life.
Oh, yeah.
It's just difficult to
manage the
feel the morning over and
more
over again.
over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. There will be certain stories that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. But if someone just tells me that person died of a heart attack, I'm just like, oh, okay. It just
I
there's
mean,
no
ain't that
traumatic
anybody? I mean,
incident with that.
unless someone
So
is
I'm
close to them,
my
you're not really
brain
gonna
just
feel anything.
disassociates, and it's like, okay, oh, they died naturally, so.
And from where I come from, I get to know a lot of these people. If I don't get to know them, I get to know their family members very intimately. It's not immediate, oh, they're coming in and they're gonna go. No, it's like weeks, months. I've had somebody their 5-year-old son, and he was in the room, and I'm like, I gotta take your mom away now. And it's after that, I'm like, oh my God, I'll go call my mom or I'll go call my dad. It's really heavy. But I feel, like you said, a sense of maximization of I don't know when my number is gonna be called. Because even if I'm working in the emergency room, we've worked on somebody for 2 hours and they're like, we really can't do anything anymore. And I'm like, just like that, gone. I remember this one patient, it was very much nobody was there. They just found him on the street. He didn't even have a wallet. He was clinically dead. brain-wise, so we couldn't really do anything anymore. Me, the nurse, and the doctor just stayed in that room until his heart rate left, because we didn't want to see him leave by himself. That was
Damn, no, that's sad, bro.
Sobering moment.
That was a lonely man,
As
bro.
much as it was nice for us to do that, I just don't want strangers around me, seeing me off.
I think for me as a teenager, selling drugs, just hanging in the streets, just
Yeah, that's the black man starter pack right there.
Bro,
Bro, nah, this is crazy.
And this is was part of my own personal development. I needed
Oh.
to find a way to attach to that. So I started doing this hospice training inside of one of the prisons by listening to these individuals tell their story and the regrets.
Yeah, I'm not even
that
surprised
they
when I
were
heard a
living
nigga
with
just be
in
like,
the
"I used to
process
sell
of
drugs." I'm like,
transitioning.
what?
It gave me a sense of
I'm like,
value
bro,
of life now.
I never
you
done
know,
that shit,
it
but
shifted my mindset as this teenager.
apparently everybody around me did it.
towards, life at that time.
I've taken care of people. They're being on life support. They'll hang on for like a very long time till one specific person sometimes just visits them. And then I'm like, I can't explain.
Wait.
Time.
I've taken care of people. They're being on life support. They'll hang on for like a very long time till one specific person sometimes just visits them. And then I'm like, I can't explain that. I could take them off, and their heart rate will keep going and going and going.
One of the guys I was working with in the prison, he wanted to see his sister. So this dude held on until like his sister walked into the room, and he was like not consciously, but like she spoke to him and she started like talking to him, and you started seeing him move. And then soon as she was like, I'm leaving, and like within minutes, this guy like transitioned.
Yeah, with my situation, I made him brain dead, and so he was in the hospital. And then when
Bro, how
they
did
pulled
you
the
kill
plug
him,
on
though?
him,
That's what I'm real
my
curious
mom
about.
literally had to tell him it's okay to go now, and then he left.
Some weird things about that.
Yeah.
We're more than just our brain, right?
Yeah.
We're spirits living in flesh, man. That's all.
I am also a victim. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm also a victim. I mean, with this type of story she had, of course she's kind of a victim. But the other guys, I would say they're a
Feel weird.
victim. I mean, you go with your story, you
But I
know?
feel like I have to be over here because the guy came after me. I was in a parking garage. I was just trying to go to the Jason Aldean concert that night. He started attacking me, stabbing me.
Whoa.
And I fought back
What
and
the
I won. So I didn't
fuck?
ask for any of that.
Why
I
are the
honestly
horror
hate the
movies going
guy,
on?
And I wished he would be dead, but I never wanted to unalive or take someone's life.
My first couple years in prison, I saw myself as the victim, right? And that was, again, a way of me coping. As I continued to do some interpersonal work, I realized that I was not a victim, that I still made a choice in the crime that I committed, right? But I just wanted to share that. Like, I wanted to run over there, but I'm in this place of healing and reconciliation, and I had to like move away from the victimization mindset and take ownership for the decision that I actually pulled the trigger, committed the crime, unfortunately, and someone died, and I have to take that on because that's part of my own personal growth and development. I remember on a Friday night, 3 years into my incarceration, I remember laying in my bed watching this show called Dateline, and for the first time, I heard
They be
a
watching
mother
TVs
really
and cells?
expressing her loss for the loss of her loved one.
The fuck?
And that was that moment in my life where I connected with that.
There's
I'm
something
like,
gonna
"Yo,
have
I did
PS5 on
the
that
same
motherfucker."
thing." And I went into a fetus position and I started praying, and all I kept hearing in my
It's not that
hearing
much of a
voice said,
jail,
"I have
is it?
forgiven you. You have to ask Gary, the guy that you killed, to forgive you." And in that process, this is where I began. I remember saying, "Gary, would you forgive me?" And I literally felt like in that moment, he forgave me, and I heard it. And it's almost like a weight was lifted off of me, and that's when I began this cleansing, this process of healing and moving forward and finding a purpose and finding my voice and all of that particular night inside of that prison when I surrendered to it.
No, I don't feel like I'm a victim for anything. Like, I chose that path. Started off wanting to be a Navy SEAL when I was like in elementary school. My mom helped me make my first ghillie suit when I was in the 6th grade. Like, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I knew it came with that, which was more than likely having to kill someone, especially in the time of war.
Yeah, I'm not a victim, but the only thing I would say is like they don't really prepare us into doing the job that we do. They do the day-to-day thing. Oh, this is what you do, this is what you charge, and all that stuff. And then now you're like, oh, by the way, the doctor wrote the order. Go take him off. And now I gotta walk in, or like if it's a baby, they're still holding them in their hands and stuff, and like go take them off. And so I never really thought about it. Like nobody's like talked to me or anything. Like, by the way, this is where you're gonna feel afterwards, or like when you get home after you clock out and everything like that.
Yeah, we didn't have a handbook on that either. Like, yeah, they teach you how to kill, but there's no
How to process.
how to process it.
I have profited from the murder. 3, 2.
Damn, she probably gonna agree. She got better life now. He said you don't need to be scared of something. Oh.
Make me feel bad about this.
Somehow murder.
That word's kind of
Strong, yeah.
Strongly agreed. Yeah, that's.
Why don't you like that word? I don't like it
all right.
either.
I don't think it applies universally.
Yeah.
Right? Homicide is a universal term. As far as profiting from any part of my story, no. I've spent the last 5 years struggling to write and publish a book, and I've spent about 80 G's on it and made about 4,000. And that's not why I did it. I did it because I want to help people, but I don't think that it's very common for people to profit off of recovery from stuff, right? Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
I guess I'll go over here then. My Attacker, my show got made into a podcast called Dirty John, and then it got made into a documentary, a TV show on Bravo, and now on Netflix.
Oh.
And so I felt like I've been exploited in a sense because I did not make anything off of the podcast. Although people think I profited off my story, I did not.
But also, and you get paid to take his life.
No, not at all.
Okay, so if you profited off of if I profit off of anything, it's my hard work afterwards.
Yeah.
It's my hard work to share and be of service. So, no, you didn't. People hate profit sometimes. They just hate you just because you made money.
Yeah.
For me, as a speaker and a trainer, I struggled with that for a long time, right? I committed this crime, and yes, I did all of the work that I have done to become the man that I am today. But then I don't sleep at night, right, knowing that I've made this bag of money or whatever. Any money I get, I want to be able to live comfortable. It's not about getting something in luxury. How could I help some young person? So we do the nonprofit work. But my 5-year goal now, or 10-year goal, is to use whatever profit I make is to create a foundation in honor of Gary. Going back to that promise I made to him almost 30 years ago inside of a prison.
It initially started as me writing a journal. My dad suggested I did that. I was going through a hard time, self-medicating and contemplating some bad decisions. Started off as that, and it got picked up by a major book publishing company, and it went on to become essentially like an autobiography of that time in. After accomplishing that, I went on to what I do currently, which is write, novels and stuff like that. Not based on my life, because I did feel a certain way about it, of profiting from killing, I get what you're saying too. All the work that you put in there after, that's on you, but I also see it as, well, I killed all these guys and I wrote a book about it and profited from it.
Were you an E4 or E5?
E5, yeah.
That's all the money you made off it.
Right?
Once again, complex issue that gets lumped together. If somebody has money, they must be doing something for profit.
Yeah.
And I think where an answer is, do we follow purpose or do we follow the money? It's going to go away when I die. It's not going to
Yeah.
matter. What's going to matter when I die is what I did. Am I proud of myself?
Yeah. I often see money more of like as an amplifier for what people can do, what reach they can do.
Yeah, what you can make impact on now, knowing when I go speak to young people today about gun violence and about my story, the only way they can get out of a situation is if I have money.
Yeah.
Right? That I can create a safe space for them to go after school. So I have to make some money to be able to do that, you know what I mean? But I don't want to make a bunch of money and I'm living here and then I walk into the community and say, hey, young kids, put the guns down, prison, say no to prison. And then I drive away in this nice car and forget about them, right? So that's where I'm at. Purpose for me is about how do I make impact in the lives of the people that I serve.
What do you think, son?
This is a
8 or
pretty
9?
sad video, bro.
For that, I'd use this. Manscaped, huh?
Taking a life was part of God's plan for me.
Whoa. That's a strong.
3, 2, 1, go.
Damn. Oh no. How can you kill your best friend by
I'm
accidentally
unclear
you think
with that
God
one.
just.
That's why I'm like this.
You're on the other side.
Yeah, I wouldn't be who I am today to be able to have the experience that I've had and become who I've become without taking a life. I learned my lesson after all the killing. You know, my last deployment dropped over 30 guys, 33 people, and who knows how many before that. But what I had to get through and overcome to stand here today far exceeded anything I've done in the military. Being emotionally somewhat strong and yeah, what I've had to overcome. There's been a lot of dark nights where didn't think I was gonna be here, you know?
Why I'm like this?
Yeah, I know what you mean though, yeah.
I don't want it to be perceived to be insensitive about the victim.
Yeah.
Right? But I know on this part of me, I look at my friends who I grew up with at 19 years old, and I did 22 years in prison, and when I came back
You
home,
did
they were at
22
the
years?
same, at the same spot under the same tree we sold drugs at. But then if I, over here, I think about the Gold Dingers family, because, you know, their son is like, oh, God destined my son, my brother or my son to die, you know what I mean? So.
But if you believe in God, then that would be, he already knew that before you
I
were
get
born,
that part.
you
I
know?
mean, I'm a spiritual man,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
but I'm
same.
just like, I don't want it to, it's just, that's my dilemma when it
If
comes
there's
to.
a God, I don't think that he's letting some kid be blown apart in Iraq because he's busy helping me look for a parking space.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that the realm of the spirit is
Yes.
as concerned with human affairs. I think that the sun rises and sets for a reason. It rockets through space at 40,000 miles an hour with a bunch of rocks around it for a reason, and animals have instinct for a reason, and I think human beings,
Free
it's a
will.
little
Free
different.
will.
Free
and I
will.
think
Yeah.
things just happen sometimes. There doesn't have to be meaning or a plan.
But then it's hard for a person who lost a loved one to wrap that. For me, my homicide is completely different than most of you in this room. Is someone died by me pulling this trigger, and I can't say it was in God's plan.
I pulled the trigger too, and I
Yeah.
thought the gun was empty. And I still can't wrap my head around a stupid decision like that. Even though that it malfunctioned and acted unloaded, had I done all the right things, the 4 safety rules, it never would have happened. And I was nervous coming here because I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. And I had no intent at all. There's no way I would have as soon put it to my head or at the floor or whatever. And I can't remember ever doing that before or after. And it was a mistake.
I think for me, it was part of my dharma. I'm a little bit more spiritual, so I think it was my life's purpose, to be honest. Because of what I do today, whenever I speak, I always have people contact me and say that they left an abusive relationship or what I shared helped them get out of their attack.
Sharing your story helps other people, and
Yeah.
you feel that, yeah.
I call it transparency transports people.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like really honest about who I am, because there's someone else, not just in a physical prison, but an emotional, mental prison. And by hearing your story, hearing all of our stories, it helps transport them to another space of showing that I can't escape this particular prison.
After having this discussion, Lester, choose a side.
Really?
No. You
I'm
guys
just
just.
gonna say, I don't think it's fair to make you choose a side. You believe what you believe.
I'm gonna stand just a little bit over there. Please. Like, respectful.
I really like what you did, man, because we move in seconds and inches.
Yeah.
We measure progress in like
Yeah, I'm
miles
right
and
here.
years, you know?
That was kind of a lot.
What's up?
This episode was just sort of intense, and I think I need a little time to debrief now.
Life's got you down bad, huh?
Yeah, just a little, you know, sometimes I need a big hug or some reassurance.
What's going
that
on?
Everything will be okay in
What
the
happened to
world,
the
you know?
videos?
Here,
Man,
try
bro.
the Skylight app.
What the fuck is
Maybe it can
this?
help you feel good.
Get out of here, bro.
Driven by passion. Proudly Mexican. Patron Tequila.
Whoa, I missed something.
3, are enough resources
For me to heal.
3, 2, 1.
I don't think it works like that, man. I never be that broken, but I don't. Oh, really? Holy shit. Damn.
When I was in the military, it was like looked down upon to go seek mental help or anything. Dude, you'd get kicked off the team, in a heartbeat. I don't want a guy who's soft watching my back, What I perceived at the time to be soft. Yeah. After each deployment, our therapist was like a 18-wheeler truck full of kegs of beer and more beer. And 12 hours ago, I just took a life, 21 years old, at a strip club in Atlanta, drinking, till my eyes pop out to cope. We would talk to like a psychiatrist, but we were encouraged to write down, I didn't have this emotion, I didn't see this, so we could get home early to see our family. But 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to talk to someone and figure out why I was the way I was, because I wanted to change. I didn't like being, everywhere I went, I'm looking at everyone and this is gonna sound so bad, but I was polite to everybody who I met, but I always in the back of my mind had a plan to kill them, just in case the situation presented itself. If something went south, I've already mapped out and planned for 3 different scenarios how I would kill this person. And I was comfortable being in that state of mind because it kept that protection, that wall up. But it gets tiring after a while to always be that way. You know,
for me, I look at this, right? I want to run over here to the strongly disagree. It's almost because of the length of your sentence, and like I was serving life, I didn't become eligible for most of the classes in prison until I came down to my last 3 years in prison, right? Now I have to run back over here to strongly agree. After being a person who's been released from prison, I've learned these different things that now help me to cope with all of the stuff that comes with me
but
living
22
inside
years
of a
of
prison,
right
not only being a person who
22
took
years in
someone's life,
fucking
but
prison
seeing
is
other
wild, bro.
individuals
So
get
this man
killed
was pretty
inside
much
of a
like
prison.
20, 19
Right,
years
you
old
see
when he
people
was in
get
prison.
stabbed
Now he was
in
about
prison
like
over some of the
44,
simplest
45.
things. No one would come and talk to you about, like, was that triggering for you? How did you saw this person blood spill out over the concrete? Nothing, right? This is why I challenge the prison system and anyone who works in that prison environment to create more mental health services for those in prison, because yes, that person may have committed a violent crime, but we don't know their story.
I'm like that with the military, man.
Yeah.
There's not enough, in my opinion.
The
It's
VA
not encouraged enough, yeah.
The VA helped me somewhat, right? I'm not going to say the VA didn't help. But when I was suicidal, I didn't call the VA helpline because I didn't want to sit here and fill out a strongly agree and disagree form and wait in a waiting room. And I called another brother, and he sent me to a program called Save a Warrior, and I experienced something, it might sound weird, called initiation there. The participant faces their own death, and they receive a transitional object. And something about that changed my psyche, and something clicked. And we did stuff like the ceremony for the dead there, where we write the names of the people we've lost and the people we've killed, and we get to cry, like feel and process and become human again, because war can break us, and prison can break us and make us incomplete and not human. And when we use different modalities to place that humanity back together, then we can have community, right? And community is the antidote to a lot of
I like your
suffering.
shirts, bro.
I wrote a 12-step program for vets and first responders called SPARTA, Suicide Prevention and
Sparta.
Resilience Training Anonymous. We meet once a week. And I used to think there wasn't enough resources, and the more I get involved, it's not that the help isn't needed, it's that there's abundant ability to create resources, right? And once we break that, we start to be the creator of it, we create the small nonprofit that serves the area. It's like the Matrix.
You can tell it's the most broken of all of
That
them,
was
bro.
long, sorry.
No, you're
Well,
good,
I have to
bro.
apologize for like chuckling when you said that part, because I was like, oh wait, I have a plan to kill people too, unfortunately. And then I used humor as my trauma response sometimes. So I strongly agree that I have the resources and the tools I need, because I'm gonna forever be on my healing journey, and I'm always gonna look for them and find them. However, talk therapy, I don't think is very beneficial to a lot of people. I think that a lot of therapists need to learn about the nervous system because a lot of what we went through, we had to use our fight response. So I had to learn how to calm my nervous system to get to homeostasis, to the baseline.
It's like as a person of color, it's like growing up, like as an immigrant, it's more like it is what it is. When you like things happen to you, it's like you don't really like, oh yeah, go see your therapist or anything like that. Especially working through the pandemic, I have never seen like that much death in my whole life, and I've been doing this for at the time like 10 years. And this was before the vaccine, and I'm like, I don't see the end of this tunnel yet. For me to quit the job would mean other people would die.
3 Dr. Squatch soaps all women love.
Pine tar. That's
Huh?
actually like their number
What?
1 scent that everyone's obsessed with.
But what are those weird ass ads,
For me to
bro?
continue this job, meaning I would die. And then that was the first time I'm like, I really don't know what to do right here. And that's the first time I'm like, wait, there's this thing called therapist. Maybe I should go talk to one. I wish it was more readily available and accepted at the same time, because none of my friends go and see their therapist, and I can completely tell them, like, you wouldn't have certain amount of issues if you just kind of worked on yourself in a different way. Or maybe not therapist, but like a different way, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
like
spiritual
coaching
healers,
or
stuff like
Right,
that.
right here too. Again, I want to run over here. Right, went in prison at 19, walked out. I was 41, into a completely different world. Right.
Wow.
So now, like my organization, Path to Redemption, is that I want to provide that.
Man,
service. Like, how do you cope
20
when
years
you walk
of
into
life
grocery
just
store
in a
after
fucking
20 years,
cell, bro.
And you walk in the self-serving line, you got to swipe that
Holy
card,
fuck.
and you don't know how. Or you walk through a line and it beeps, right? And you thinking that there's going to be.
Well, you were
tackled by
bumping
the
Tupac
police
at
'cause
that
they
time.
think
Now you
stealing
came back,
something,
you got
right?
Ice Spice.
This is why, like you and I, individuals, can create that.
I'm running over. So there is not by any means enough space to talk about, like I was a foster kid, right? So I got raised in poverty and abuse and negative relationships. So what did I do when I grew up? I created poverty and I created negative relationships, right? And that type of a wound, it's such a cultural taboo that there's not a space to talk about that and the impacts, and then what do we do and where do we go from there? So
So come on back over here. You got me feeling kind of. I was saying I wanted to do it, right? But I think that's important, man.
And everybody in this circle is a wounded healer and also a servant leader, right? So when we see a gap in something that's needed, it's not just us. So that's where a tremendous opportunity is to
It's
create.
crazy, man. He's the most broken of all of them, but he's the one giving speech, bro. And advice and shit.
Y'all like learning the different angles of,
Healing.
because I was kind of like skirmish about that title Killer, but listening to all of the different facets and challenges of it, you know, I really appreciate it. For me, I go back to South Carolina and go back into the Department of Juvenile Justice and work with these young people. This is what I want to take back, right? Like this, I want to take that.
Same boat, man. A lot of preconceived notions we have about people. I might look at you a certain way, you, and never would have had a clue that there's a commonality or something we can all relate on and learn from.
It's not every day you get to meet someone that's taken a life, or, you know, and for me, it's made me feel alone at times and not be able to be understood by people.
Damn, this video was something else, but it was different, bro. I was not expecting something like that.